Can I open this? Isn't this where that guy was leaning against? Where he was like, we're on the same... Where I was like saying we're on the same side and so on. Ugh. Whoa. First I'm like dead rats, then I'm like, that's giant ass cockroaches as far as I can tell. Those are massive. Oops. Standing on top of the gore now. What are those tentacles? Oh, those are teeth on the end. Those aren't cut off tentacles. Those are like nightmare leech things that bite. Fish heads nailed into the wall over a bed. And a puddle inside the bed. There's a whole lot of why going on here. Is that the two guards out front? Wasn't there a wall around those guards instead of just nothing? Oh no, that's the guys by the boat. That's the guys that are like, this boat's our home. So yeah, the guy that was sitting with his back against the big door, that was the door to the place I was trying to get to. I totally thought the warehouse was the one in the distance. Because it was supposed to be so hard to get to.
Someone has settled in here.
And whoever it is has something to tell me about the Hawkins case. Is there anyone in there? You! Don't move! Detective Pierce. I told you to stay away from this warehouse.
Threaten the police officer. What a great idea. What do you mean strength / professional? What does that mean? I know what strength means is one of my stats. Professional is not one of my stats. Does it refer to something else? Let's team up. Hold to test psychology. My psychology stat is a 2, so no. Someone else interested in Hawkins. The case is far from being wound up. Strength / professional. I wish I knew what he meant by threaten the police officer. That's so vague. Because like that cat threatened me in a very different way than someone might threaten like legality of a threat of a police officer. And they were just asking about the... That wasn't me talking, right? Was that him saying somebody can tell me about the Hawkins case?
Look around you. Someone has settled in here. Can you explain what this painting is doing here?
This strange portrait. Wait, I know it.
It was in the Hawkins mansion when we came to investigate the fire.
So you confirm that it was removed from the crime scene. Interesting. I'd like to go and see the mansion now.
Of course. You want to go back along his trail? I'd like to understand how this painting made it to here. Come on. My car's parked down the way.
What?
Andrews, would you please shut the door?
That didn't feel natural at all.
This guy went right under your nose. God damn it. Her again. This case has nothing to do with you, Baker. Clear the passage or I'll shut you up for obstruction.
Officer Bradley, you've finally grown a pair. Too bad you're too fat to see them down there.
Why, you?
Come on, keep the smile. You don't want to force me to widen it.
Okay, I get it. Can we go to the mansion now?
I thought I'd straightened you out, mister. I am disappointed, but we'll meet again.
Is it far, this mansion?
Look behind you, at the top of the ridge. You see the building? That's the Hawkins mansion. Come on, we got some driving to do.
What is happening? First of all, there was a bug that happened in the dialogue where when he was opening the door, they were like, look, somebody settled in here, which is why I was like, what are they talking about? This is confusing dialogue. But then a moment later, our character said that and then gestured to the painting. I'm like, oh, that wasn't supposed to play in the previous scene. So much like the weird pause that happened when I was walking with Kat, they played dialogue in the wrong spots. So that was weird. But then I had the option to threaten the police officer, which turned out to be an incredibly pointless option, which I didn't pick, but I was just like, look at that. Hey, tell me everything I need to know. And he's just immediately incredibly cooperative. And 1 second he's like, I told you not to come in here. And then he completely drops that entirely. And without me threatening him or doing anything at all, he's 100% cooperative and tells me exactly what I need to do. So I'm like, wait, what? Why do we pretend that there was a confrontation and then immediately stop pretending there was a confrontation a moment later? But then she's like, I thought I straightened you out. And then she's like saying like I'm going to pay for this later. I'm like, what did I do? What did I do to piss off Kat? She just showed up. Like did she forget she guided me there in the first place? Because the way that she confronted me almost making it feel like I snuck in, but I didn't sneak in. She walked me in there in the first place. So her threat was weird because I was there on her permission. And all of that was just to get around a door that they were able to just open from that side anyway, making it the whole runaround feel really bizarre. This is I don't know, this is off to a rocky start. Hopefully maybe when I get to the mansion, the game will have fewer NPCs to manage, so it'll maybe be more coherent. We can just build on the backstory of what happened to the Hawkins or something. That just felt like a really weird series of events. And it kind of felt like there was logic that was misfiring. Like there was things that were supposed to be like, oh, this is the path you took to this scenario, but it was like forgetting what path I took and saying other things and so on. It was an odd one. Huh. Chapter 3, Garden of the Hawkins Mansion. Pierce managed to get into the warehouse, the place thought to be abandoned. Revealed some surprises. Signs of recent occupation as well as a partly charred painting. Interrupted in his searching by Officer Bradley, Pierce convinced him to join his investigation. The police officer is willing to drive the detective to the Hawkins mansion.
Well, here we are, Hawkins Mansion. The place has been abandoned since the fire. There's only old Winchester in his hut.
They talked before about how Kat widened the smile of people that got in her way in the past. Or at least one person. I took that to be a recent occurrence, like a very recent occurrence, like yesterday or something. But it may have been referring to this guy, because this cutscene very much showcased how his entire cheek is sliced open almost to the ear. There's an obvious Dark Knight Joker reference there that you can draw on that might feel like it's a bit tacky of a Scar reference thing, like, oh really, Dark Knight, we're doing that. But actually, to give it more credit, you could instead interpret along the lines of a fish hook in the cheek. The way that when a fish is caught, the hook goes, it often will go like through their mouth, then come out their gill, which is like the cheek area of the fish, and that's how they get so hooked. Like that kind of way of threatening and damaging somebody in a fisherman's wharf area, island, has more of a logic to it as a connection. This is a creepy little background and setting, isn't it? What are we lit by right? Oh, am I holding a lantern? Probably. Let's see. Ooh, a spot hidden skill. Investigation unlocked. A lot of options here. Let's do the spot hidden first.
I see no scorched trees or fire damage on the building.
You're pretty damn observant, ain't you? The fire was quickly contained. Old Silas acted as soon as he could.
Not soon enough to save the Hawkins.
They were trapped in the drawing room. And don't go troubling Silas anymore. His guilt torments him enough as it is. Are we gonna take a closer look at this mansion, or do you have other questions?
Let's go investigate the burned down mansion. I don't see any fire damage. You're damn observant, aren't you? Like that it doesn't look like a fire, which was the premise.
You're the one who looked after the Hawkins case.
Don't think I was trying to hide it. It's just that this discovery shakes my convictions.
That's why you're so keen to find out who removed the painting from the mansion.
Yes. If something escaped us, or if there's been a law enforcement error, then it's up to the police to make good its mistake. Anything else?
I prefer to be prepared if there's going to be trouble.
It's a wise attitude. But apart from old Silas and some rotten floorboards, there's nothing to worry about.
You're talking about Winchester.
That's right. The Hawkins' old caretaker. Strictly speaking, he ain't dangerous. But since the tragedy, he's been a little touched. Though he's a remarkably sturdy man, given his age. A true force of nature.
A sad old man doesn't worry me.
Gee, if you don't want to listen to my advice, we might as well go, right?
Your partner, Andrews, warned me against him.
You managed to get something out of that bum? I'll end up asking you for advice.
He talks too much. He inferred that old Silas was slightly unhinged.
That's not far off the mark, I suppose. But kinda unfair at the same time. You know, Silas Winchester has been working for the Hawkins family as far back as I can remember. Charles was like a son to him. The day of the fire, he lost his whole family. So he's got nowhere to go. And, as you'll see, in a way, he's still watching over them. Is there anything else you want to ask me? Or do you want to go up there?
You won't get me to believe that it looked any better 3 months ago.
It's a very old building, you know? Its foundations would probably date from the arrival of the first settlers.
It's got nothing to do with Charles Hawkins' debts.
Ha! You've already begun to nose around it, would seem. So, since you already know it, the Hawkins family couldn't afford the upkeep of this house. It remains to be seen what they did with all their money. I wager it was Charles Hawkins' travels. Let's go up there. Unless you still have questions.
You've already been nosing around, Mr. Private Detective, who does that because it's his job, and I'm acting surprised about that.
Night falls quickly here, and I want to be able to see when we arrive.
I'll go with you, if only to reassure Silas.
Why not? You can help.
Right. Let's go.
I'd prefer not to be attacked by scared, guilty, cowering man, which our character doesn't know, but was already watching and cowering a moment ago, seemingly. There's some really well-crafted scenes. Just really nice moments, layouts. Hilltop House builds in 1693 by Reverend John Wickwood.
Bradley was right. This place is much older than I imagined.
Reminds me of Bloodborne, with just like the density of details all coming together in a really creepy way. Wow. Glad we're here. So glad we accepted this case. Charles Hawkins, 1883 to 1924.
Someone must really hate Charles Hawkins.
I told you. Silas Winchester is still watching over the Hawkins family.
I must say, it's pretty gloomy.
So, Detective, does this place inspire any thoughts?
Do you know if Charles Hawkins had any enemies?
Not to our knowledge. He was a well-respected personality on the island. I don't understand. Silas would never have let such a thing happen.
Why were they buried here?
I was given to believe that it was Charles Hawkins' wish.
Strange idea. I imagine Webster wasn't too pleased.
Mrs. Hawkins' father? It's said that he's devastated.
Let's go to the mansion.
Please give me a minute. I didn't expect to set foot back here after the burial. What kind of deranged individual would defile this sanctuary? And steal a burnt painting? I don't see Silas doing such a thing. Let alone allowing it. Even that broad baker is above that. Lord, have pity on this poor family.
The flowers on Sarah Hawkins' grave are fresh.
A great artist. Can't see past the icon and it's dark. The mother. A great artist, affectionate mother, and true friend. I did a piece together a little bit. Decorations here, desecration here. What if Silas harbors anger that he did something that ultimately resulted in her death and the destruction of the mansion? A true friend to who? Is it someone who is a survivor? Your flowers are fine too. Simon Hawkins. Age 11 years old?
Poor kid. Poor kid.
Am I gonna see the Silas when I walk back out here? Had to give him a minute, so I'm gonna wander off for a moment. This doesn't really lead to much light being added. I laid me down and I laid me down and slept. I awaked, for the Lord sustained me. Oh, same quote twice. Hello? Please don't be startled by me. Yeah, he's not coming. He's gonna stay there. It occurs to me this isn't the best plan because of the whole he was supposed to reassure Silas for me thing. What? Wait, when I run him off, the fire goes out and then it comes back on. Huh.
I'll have to find another entrance.
Yeah, that's pretty closed off. A lot of rocky debris on the inside of this wall. Curious about that, or where it would even come from. Seems like a lot of the rockiness would be deliberate.
This entrance is still in use. Whoa! Whoa!
You are trying to force the door, you nosy prick!
Easy, sir, all right? Put down the axe.
You know what we do with rubble like you? We gut them. Dump them into the ocean.
You're Mr. Winchester. Lower that axe. Let's talk calmly.
I'll show you how we have it out on Darkwater.
Grab the axe. Do not defile this place. Oh god.
You haven't forgiven yourself. You stay here to honor the memory of the deceased.
That's true. I want no more violence. No more tragedy.
It's painful to be the last one left.
You don't know how right you are. Understood. I'm listening.
The police report describes a domestic accident, but Stephen Webster has several reasons to believe that this may not be the case.
Webster is as stubborn as an old mule. And I did tell him that we should let the dead rest in peace.
He wants to restore the reputation of his daughter. I just need to see where the fire started.
No, I can't let you in. The mansion isn't safe.
That's why you barricaded the entrance.
That's right.
And this door?
It's locked, and I make sure it stays that way.
No one lives in the mansion, and you don't take care of it anymore. If you have a good reason to be here, I'm listening.
There's vermin. I keep an eye out.
Vermin?
Yeah, that's it, vermin.
Right. This is what we're going to do. I go inside, and I promise that I'll hunt vermin. Okay with you?
I'm not sure.
If there's nothing else to fear, you can give me that key.
Right. Take the key and do what you have to do. Go on then, just to get rid of you.
Let's see what more I can learn from this mansion.
He is happy to see us. Age 64, caretaker of Hawkins' property. The old caretaker of the Hawkins family saw as Winchester still watches over the family graveyard in the burned-out mansion. Devoted Charles Hawkins, whom he all but raised, he also has great respect for the memory of Sarah Hawkins and their child, Simon. His long months of solitude in the abandoned property have made him very distrustful. Silas still puts flowers in the graves of Charles, Sarah, and Simon. Gotta remind myself of something. Professional. That's what I got mixed up at. Professional is a weird word. I'm like, okay, novice, so on. Novice, expert, amateur. I'm like, okay, sure. Professional. Then I was like, am I picking the professional option? Am I picking the job that's about my profession? I mixed up on them. Like, no, it's just another one of the rankings. It's the rank 3 word. It just sounded weird in that context. Welp. Officer Bradley, age 37. It's a significant scar. Wow. Wow, judgy, huh? This hick cop likes order and justice. He's no great sleuth, but he seems more inclined than his colleagues to discover the truth of the Hawkins case. The inhabitants of the island seemed to be friendly with him. He could help me with my investigation. Yeah, the whole reason I brought him here was to talk sense into Silas, and then he stood still, and then I encountered Silas, inevitably. Hawkins Mansion Gardens. The Hawkins Mansion is perched atop a steep cliff. The abandoned garden harbors the graves of the Hawkins family, and only the old caretaker, Silas Winchester, still roams this bleak spot. He protects it fiercely and still puts flowers in the graves of his old masters. It's a gloomy place. This is what we got from investigating the warehouse. Officially unused since Charles Hawkins' death, this warehouse recently housed a clandestine resident. Signs of life attest to the fact. The presence of blood-stained bandages must also be noted, probably removed from a wound, as well as pills, painkillers, and sleeping pills. Moreover, the occupant seems to be obsessed with Sarah Hawkins, as attested by the presence of several documents reconnected to the artist's life. Photograph, press cutting, but it is the discovery of a partly charred painting recognized by Officer Bradley as having come from the Hawkins mansion that allows all doubts to be lifted as to the link between the contents of this building and the Hawkins case. I wonder if there's somebody that's turning into a monstrosity creature thing. And what if she even painted him, and that's what that painting was of? And as they transform and change, maybe they have like these wounds they have to heal and bandage, and they're taking painkillers and sleeping pills to sleep through their transformation because they're in pain all the time. Or maybe they came here onto the mansion and desecrated the father's grave, you know, out of anger of what happened to Sarah. And if that happened, then maybe Winchester found him with that axe and got a good hit in, and that's why he has the bandages and everything. That could be why. Tradesman's entrance. Yeah. So thanks for your help, Officer Bradley. And so, oh, thanks, just showing up now. I see how it is. Clearly scripted to show up exactly now after you wore out and didn't succeed at your original purpose. You can see the city down there, or the starting area. Did you look that big before? I feel like we got further from the lighthouse and it got bigger. Huh. Yeah, there's where the game took place at up until now. So he's waiting for me. What's down here? Might go all the way down to the shore.
This gate is locked.
It also seems to go... No, I was gonna say it seems to go nowhere, but there seems to be a path reaching around the cliff to the left. Ooh. Sneaky little house. Is this where the caretaker lives? Its chimney is active, but who's staying in it? Is that his axe? He didn't go this way though when he left. He went the other direction. So if that's his axe and his base, and he shows up here, then how the hell did he get here? If I go to the door and he's already in there.
Bourbon. Empty, of course.
It seems like alcohol content might be a reoccurring element of this game, considering how often it comes up for him.
I know a thing or two about solitude myself. Rather Spartan. The caretaker has simple tastes. The poor wretch seems to spend the best part of his time isolated from the world.
Yep, just staring out at the creepy, ghostly rock zone over here. Not even looking at the lighthouse, which is like the nicest looking thing in this environment. That's a nice visual. This is less nice. Nope, not quite. Doesn't just open up for me. Can't go up there. I was just looking at the rocks. Oh, here we go. It's quite a mix, because that stuff kind of looks like granite, but that stuff is a bunch of horizontal layers of sediment. Kind of mixed up. Meaning that the geologic history here is probably really chaotic. That said, we're on the outside of an exposed slope, so anything we see might be something that fell here from above. And it might be less chaotic if you go further into the ground in that direction. Oh, I thought this was a creepy little cave. Nope. Just a dark spot. Are we gonna have a little chat about me sticking my nose around? Where were you, buddy?
Shall we enter? Now that you've finished your fun and games with Silas, we can perhaps inspect the mansion.
You're right. Let's go.
Now that we've finished the fun and games that you were supposed to prevent, where I could have been killed by a man with an axe? Yeah, thanks, police officer. I'm not ready yet. See you later, buddy. I'm not ready to leave this location yet. Oh. Hey, he's trying to take care of that log. That's gonna keep you super busy.
Do you have a moment?
What now?
Nothing. Sorry.
Stop wasting my time.
Sorry, I didn't know I was gonna waste your time. I was operating under the assumption that if my character had the option to talk to you, he might actually have something to say. Whoops. But I think there was another path all the way back here, which I spied primarily when I looked back over that log. And I should check to see if there's something interesting. Did you leave the car running the whole time? Aren't we going inside? You left the car running. Dude, your headlights are gonna run out the battery. And I don't think jumper cables are that easy to come by in this setting. Or even other vehicles. We're gonna have to walk all the way down, which admittedly, I can see where we came from right down there, so I'm not that intimidated by that walk. Horizontal sediment layers. But that looks a lot like granite.
Someone is using the fireplace. I suppose that this is where old Winchester lives.
Okay, that dialogue trigger is kind of funny when I've already been down there. Look at that landscape. It's pretty and horrible at the same time. I guess that's what people call the word, that's what people use the word haunting for. What a haunting landscape. Well, that's it. He's gonna be busy. That is a big log for him to be chopping away at. I feel like burning it might be easier, but you know how he feels about fire. Or at least we can interpret how he feels about fire given his history with this place and fire. It's a huge one. Like, I was thinking, like, what if we tied that to the car and tried dragging it? But I'm like, I don't know if that would budge it. I don't know how strong they were.
Shall we enter?
Yes, we shall.
Let's take a look inside.
I'm with you.
Pierce and Officer Bradley explored the gardens of the Hawkins mansion. The family lies in the graveyard of the property, guarded by Silas Winchester, the old caretaker, still faithful to his employees. Keeps watch over the place, armed with his axe. Pierce and Bradley managed to calm him down and, no, just me, finally get hold of the key to Hawkins' mansion. They entered the building looking for the scene of the fire. Was there a way to get Pierce and Bradley to calm him down together? Admittedly, I was able to defeat him with one dialogue choice, just like Bradley, but it seemed like Bradley was pretty much just gonna stand there until I moved on.
Follow me. I know the place.
Oh, it's spooky in
Who
here.
left this light on?
Maybe the guy who runs this place? I'm up to, how many? 3 CP. Soon I will gain 1 point of specialty.